Good afternoon, students. We are about to start our next unit, and the unit is on ratios. Yes, ratios. Ratios I know that you've heard of. So have you heard of 3 out of 6, or on your last unit when we were talking about marbles, when you have 6 red marbles and you have 12 green marbles, and you want to know the fraction of the red marbles? That question was a ratio question. So first, let's talk about our objective. Our objective today is I can write ratios as fractions, with colons, and with words. Okay, so you know what a fraction is. A fraction is a part of a whole, but we're also going to learn how to write it differently, and then you're going to have colons. And I know you should have heard colons before, and you've heard it in English, and a colon is just the 2 dots. And with words, and I know you guys know the words, or know how to use words, because you use words every day. Okay, so first let's start with, what is a ratio? A ratio is a comparison of 2 quantities using division. Now you know that this fraction bar means divided by, but it's also going to mean a couple of other different things, and you'll see that here in a minute. Now comparison, you know that means to compare. So you can write compare above it. And 2 quantities. Quantities are just amounts. So we're going to compare 2 things with different amounts using division. Or an easier way to say it is, a ratio says how much of one thing there is compared to another thing. And you're probably thinking, oh no, this sounds difficult. But it's not. So let's look at some examples. It's the best way to explain it. So how to write them. So first let's start off with our example. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 circles and 3 triangles. Okay, so we're going to compare different quantities, different amounts. So we're going to compare circles and triangles. So we can write fractions, ratios in different ways by using part to part, part to whole, and then whole to part. And we're going to learn how to write these with fractions, colons, and with words. So let's just concentrate on the fractions, because that's what you guys understand. So let's look at the part to part. Okay, so let's look at circles and triangles. Okay, so your question's going to ask, what is the ratio of circles to triangles? So then you're going to count your circles, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to count your triangles, 1, 2, 3. So you have 4 circles for every 3 triangles. Or you can say it 4 circles to 3 triangles, or for every 4 circles you have 3 triangles. Now what if the question asks it the other way? What is the ratio from triangles to circles? Then you would write it 3 triangles for every 4 circles. Now let's look at the part to whole. We have 3 triangles, 1, 2, 3, for every 7 shapes. Okay, so that's the part, the triangles, and the whole is what you have all together. And now let's look at the whole to part. We have 7 shapes, and we have 4 circles. So that looks pretty simple, doesn't it? I bet you're taking a big sigh of relief right now. You're like, oh, this isn't so bad. So now let's look at it with the colon. And what the colon is going to do is just going to take the place of the fraction bar. So let's look at the first one. So for circles to triangles, we have 4 circles for every 3 triangles, or 4 to 3. And then the second example is 3 triangles for every 4 circles, or 3 to 4. And now let's look at the part to whole. We have 3 triangles out of 7 shapes, or for 3 triangles, for every 3 triangles we have 7 shapes. Now the part to whole. We have 7 total shapes, 7 shapes, and we have 4 circles, so 7 to 4. If you notice, I'm saying these different ways, and you can. Now let's look at the words. For every 4 circles for every 3 triangles. Or I could say 4 to 3. And then we have 3 triangles for every 4 circles. Now the part to whole. We have 3 out of 7, or 3 for every 7 shapes. And then we have 7 shapes for every 4 circles. It really depends on what the question is asking, so you have to pay attention, and the order matters. If it asks for circles to triangles, then you need to put the circles first and then the triangles second. So the order is very, very important. So if you need to rewatch this part, I would go ahead. But we've got more. We've got a little work for you to practice. But don't worry, it's not difficult. Okay, so here we go. You only have 3 that you need to do. Okay, so let's talk about some Takis. I know you all love Takis. And Doritos, my personal favorite. And then the hot Cheetos. Ay caliente. Yes, the hot Cheetos. Okay, so the first one you're going to do is you're going to do a ratio of Takis to Doritos. And remember that I want the Takis first and then the Doritos. And I want you to write it as a fraction. The second thing I want you to do is the ratio of Doritos to hot Cheetos. And you're going to write it with a colon. And remember, your order is very important. And then your ratio of hot Cheetos to the total. So the total is going to involve just a little bit more work because I haven't given you that number, so you have to figure it out. And I want you to write it with words. Okay, so we've talked about that you can say 3, 2, 4, so you can use the word to. You can use the words out of, or you can use for every. See if you can think of one other way to say it, or another way that you have heard it, and be sure to share it the next day. Okay, so again, ratios are something that you see every day, so you should be good. Make sure that you have this done for class. Okay, so this is what you are responsible for doing. And that's going to be it for today. Be ready for your discussion tomorrow. Have a great night.